Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pharmaceutical Soccer. It is so good to be back here. It's been a couple weeks. Missed talking about Nashville soccer in general, and of course, I missed talking to my compatriots, people, my friends, my family. Valair Shabilla, unfortunately, Clay Trainum is not here this week. He's still in a food coma from Christmas, I have to assume. Have you heard from him? I assume it's coma food related, something of the sort.
That's where I was, and the fact that I'm here right now is I woke up from my coma just a little earlier than Clay. I think that's all. But yeah, Clay's unfortunately dealing with some boring issues that we won't get into. But we hope that all of his calls and going to the dealerships and everything else he has to do goes as smoothly as possible on this joyous holiday week, weeks of holidays that we have going on. I am back in Nashville though, so that's nice. I was in Michigan for the holidays and got to enjoy it with the family, so that was cool. Got to eat a lot of food, and as Steven said, went into a few comas, not even just one, really. Had to be awakened from them, but now we're back to the grind. We honestly probably weren't going to do an episode today, but there was just too much going on for us to not do an episode. So
yeah, there's a ton going on, and I do want to talk to you about something holiday related, and I think it is. I don't think this is necessarily an unpopular opinion, but I'm curious about what you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Having Christmas on a Thursday kind of slaps. Like it's kind of awesome, in my opinion.
I know a lot of people who didn't get that Friday off.
Interesting. Okay.
So that's the only part that I hate about it.
Well, I didn't get that Friday off either, but it's also like everybody else took it off.
Yeah.
Type of scenario. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like, was it really a work day type of situation? I know for other people it's probably different. From my perspective, I really appreciated it because I have done nothing for the past week and a half.
Yeah, I think the closer you can have those days to the weekend, the more I like it. But I do see that extra day in the middle gives you that sort of long week rather than long weekend feeling. And speaking of that, Steven, what were you in DC? Did you stay in town for the holidays? Did you do anything else?
Absolutely. Yeah, stayed in DC. Just did normal stuff for me. Normally it's just I'll go see family on different times. Christmas, I like to relax. So I started a tradition for myself of watching the entire extended version of The Lord of the Rings every Christmas day. So I did that with my partner, Cynthia, hung out. It was great day just to wake up and just do nothing besides watch movies the entire day. It was lovely. Went to Medieval Times as well the day after Christmas, so that's becoming a thing. Have you been to a Medieval Times before, Valair?
That's a thing. Like you go to it?
This would be one of those things that you would have no idea what it is.
Like a Renaissance fair.
Well, no, it's like specifically it is kind of like a Renaissance fair, but it's specifically like a dinner and a show. Oh. So you sit down and you get fed food, like a whole like roasted chicken, all this type of thing,
unseasoned,
in like a medieval times setting, while watching jousting and all that type of stuff.
Oh yeah, that seems really up your alley and something I would not be going to in my life. Thanks for sharing, though.
If you just get randomly drunk around and just get way into it, it is an absolute blast.
I'm sure it is. I have seen people joust at the Renaissance Fair, because I did go one time, and honestly, it was mostly a miserable time. But except, I think the jousting was okay. There you go. That wasn't miserable. Not my crowd, not my vibes. But I watched old VHS videos. Is that what they called? VHS videos? Is that redundant? Is the V in the VHS video? Anyway, no. I watched old tapes from my family before I was even born that I've never seen before.
Really?
Yeah. So that was crazy, but the quality wasn't that great.
That's because it's VHS.
No, not only because of that. I think there's something about them being like filmed in Iraq and like being played on like an American VCR, and I don't know. There's just something going on there. So we're just gonna have to find the right system, I think, for them or something along those lines. But that was interesting. That was the one thing I did that I hadn't done before. So there you go. That's my holiday thing. Other than that, I just ate and slept and talked to family. So that was exciting.
Well, let's hope your holidays were more exciting than ours. I know talking about medieval times, both medieval times VHS and just, Clay would insert like a 3-minute, 4-minute story right here about either medieval times or video cassette tapes, one of the two. So unfortunately, we do not have that, but we had a lot to talk about actually today, Valair. Like a lot of Nashville stuff kind of coming down the pipeline, in the past couple weeks or so. One of the things I don't want to talk about, but we have to, some Champions Cup draw. We haven't even recorded since the Champions Cup draw even happened, as well as some rumors and different transfer stuff. But let's kind of just get right into it. Let's start with the big one that did come out today. Even though we were expecting it, I think a lot of people in the Nashville circle were kind of expecting this in some way, shape, or form. Jacob Shaffelberg did end up getting traded today. Shaffelbye-bye is no longer a Nashville SC player. Valair, why don't you talk about that and how the deal works out?
Yeah, so first of all, for those of you listening tomorrow, which is all of you, because this episode won't come out till tomorrow, yesterday, Jacob Shaffelberg got traded on Monday. Ben Wright, our very own Ben Wright from 615 Soccer, broke this news. So really cool for him to be able to get news like that. And then later was confirmed by Tom Bogert, who added a little bit more info to it. So, and then later after Tom Bogert, it was announced officially by Nashville SC. Officially, Nashville SC will receive $1 million in total in GAM. 500,000 of that will be in the 2026 GAM. The other 500,000 will be in 2027 GAM. That said, Nashville SC will also receive a sell-on clause, meaning that if LAFC sell Jacob Shaffelberg, Nashville SC will get a little bit in return. I don't think that amount was released. So no idea.
I don't expect that percentage to be that high, though, and especially he is getting older, especially in the position that he plays. I mean, he is 26, 27 right now.
Yes.
Yeah. So as a winger.
Yeah, I also don't anticipate whatever LAFC get out of Jacob Shaffelberg to be significant enough for this percentage to matter, even if it's 25-30%, which would be in the very high level. If LAFC sell Jacob Shaffelberg, I don't think that GAM and TAM would ever. That's a trade, so will not. So the only way Nashville can get any money out of this is that if there's a cash for, I'm assuming, from MLS, or if there is a sell on abroad, and I doubt either of those will happen for Shaffelberg.
Yeah, I'm very sure that was added just like it was added to Alistair Johnston, where, hey, there is a possibility that he gets picked up in some different instance. Why not have that in play?
And Alistair Johnston, back to your point, Steven, I mean, he was a younger player. He seemed like he was kind of set to make a move of that sort. Over here, it's a little more under the radar, I guess, for him. But I mean, look, he's a guy who's been with Nashville SC for a while. He's played over 100 times for Nashville SC. He's been a fan favorite, which I think is very important to talk about, because I think a lot of fans, it's probably not people listening to this podcast, because people listening to this podcast have probably heard us and they've had their own thoughts about, maybe Jacob Shaffelberg doesn't fit and is not the sort of player that Nashville SC fans thought they were going to have. But for a lot of fans, let's not forget, a lot of fans are not as in the weeds as people listening to this podcast. And we appreciate you for listening to this podcast. So thank you. But I think for a lot of fans, this might come as a little bit of a shock or a surprise. At the very least, they might be, sad about it, just simply because he has been one of those players that's been in the front of the pack when it comes to being on shirts, when it comes to doing community things, when it comes to doing just on the pitch even. It's so hard to miss his, like, he's such a speedy player, and his sort of he clearly gives it all on the pitch, and I think that stuck with fans a lot from the moment he signed with Nashville SC. And I think like we can talk about like, oh, whether or not he was a good fit or whether or not he was at his best quality. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of fans will feel sad and, probably wouldn't have done this trade if it was down to them.
Yeah, I mean, it's very similar to Alistair Johnston, right? Besides the way that we did acquire Jacob Shaffelbye, but when Alistair came in, right when Shaffelbye came in, he was absolutely a fan favorite. Had some cool hair, younger guy, a player that wasn't normal in terms of Nashville SC. Shaffelbye, it was nice for us to see a player that actually had speed when Shaffelbye came in. We're like, oh wow, he's actually quick. And he did have a lot of important moments for Nashville SC, a lot of important goals. And that's something that people are going to remember. I mean, we're going to remember the baby celebrations. We're going to remember some of the quick goals that he had. We're going to remember some of the misses that he's had too. I was I think a lot of us didn't know this was kind of coming in some instances. Just the way that he was kind of utilized in BJ Callahan's system. I don't think it's necessarily that he didn't fully fit. I just don't think he is the player that BJ wants with what he currently has in that position. And I think you look at the money and it's absolutely insane. Like, I'm actually extremely shocked how much we're getting for Jacob Shaffelbye.
Yeah, and I said this earlier. Like, I think I'm giving everybody credit here from the club, from Jacob Shaffelbye, from BJ Callahan, because I think all three of them really tried to make it work with this new Nashville SC 2.0. It just never really took off. I mean, the way he played just didn't seem to fit what the team did. So he tried to adjust the way he plays. And when he did that, he lost pretty much his magic, right? What makes him a great player. And going to LAFC, which is a portion we haven't talked about yet, going to LAFC is probably the most perfect way, the most perfect team you can go to if you play the way Jacob Shaffelbye plays. That said, LAFC did change their coach, so who knows what they're going to look like. But at the end of the day, they have Son, they have Bouanga, two players who are extremely rapid, who play on transition. And if he can replicate what they do, not in terms of output, because I think that would be a ridiculous thing if Jacob Shaffelbye turns out with the same output as those two players. But if he can replicate what they do on the pitch, then he can be either a good deputy for either of them or, play on the right or left where the other two are not. Now, I don't think we'll see all three of them. Maybe, again, it's a new coach, new LAFC, but that's something for the LAFC podcast to worry about. Back to the money point, I think you are right, Steven. I think if at any point, if I'm running Nashville SC and somebody comes up to me with $1 million in GAM for Jacob Shaffelbye, I think I would be happy to do that trade. The only thing that's kind of boosting his price is his performance with the Canadian men's national team, where he has been very important very important. He's been important for them, and Jesse Marsch really likes him, and I think that's
I would say very important for Canada. I think, in the matches that he's performed, Canada plays better with him. In the matches where he's not in, they don't play as good.
Right. And I think an important thing to look at Jacob Shaffelbye here is away from his MLS time. So if you look at his overall time for a winger, he's played 107 matches for Nashville in all competitions, 14 goals, 17 assists. That's not a bad return for a winger. It's not good or even great, but I would say it's not a bad return for a winger, especially for somebody in LAFC's case where they're taking him, on a fairly, stacked team where he's just going to be playing his part rather than beat that guy. And he was never the guy at Nashville SC either, and he doesn't need to be. But I think overall, when you look at those numbers, they're not terrible. If you look at MLS numbers, things get a little more sort of interesting for him. I think he really struggled to find any consistency with MLS. But at the end of the day, Nashville SC received $1 million in GAM, split over 2 years. I think that in itself is probably best case scenario because Do you know how much they got him from Toronto for?
225.
Yeah. So I mean, when you're looking at 225 turned to $1 million with 3 years of production of to a certain level, I think that's a really good success story at the end of the day. And I know these are people, and we don't want to talk about them as like, projects or whatever, but like that's a really good development story for the Nashville SC front office.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be just again, I think you're right. I think LAFC for him is a terrific system to be able to be a part of. I mean, LA is a good place to go. I'm glad that we're not moving him somewhere in the East where we have to deal with him all the time. Like that's really nice. I think this works out for everybody. Mainly, and it gives the ability for these Nashville SC wingers that we do have to step up this season in the positions that they are in. I think the question is, from a Nashville SC perspective, who do we bring somebody in? Is there a new winger that we do bring in? Or is this something where we're putting faith in Qasim Perez to really shake that out and fight for that position?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be. I think there's gonna be a signing in that position. What I am unsure about.
Do you think it's going to be a starting caliber signing?
That's really where I'm a little. I think a lot of it does depend on how much they have belief in Tyler Boyd. Let's not forget he's under contract next year. If Tyler Boyd can fill in the minutes Jacob Shaffelbye did in MLS, which is about a little over 1,000 minutes, that's a lot to ask for a guy coming back from an injury. But if Tyler Boyd can fill up those minutes, and you have Qasim and you have Perez, you're kind of in a good spot. And you have Muyl, of course, who, let's just say, he's going to start every game because we have nothing else to tell us otherwise. But he might there might be a shift. BJ Callen might feel comfortable to kind of move on from Muyl or Boyd. And that's the other thing that continues to be in question, is that are Muyl and Boyd sticking with Nashville SC? If they are, then you're looking at 4 players for 2 positions with Qasim and Perez, who I'm assuming will not move from Nashville SC because of their age and when they were signed. So now you have 4 players for 2 positions. You probably add in 5th and be okay, but it's going to be a pretty fierce competition there for those winger / attacking midfielder spots. So all in all, I think Nashville SC will sign somebody. I feel like it would be a stretch to say that would be like a TAM signing or a DP signing. I just feel like there are enough minutes in those 4 players to not have that position be sort of the top player sort of signing.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be very interesting, especially from the winger position. I think we're actually going to get an understanding of what BJ is looking for in that position in the offseason. I think especially last season, he did get a full season, but let's be real. A lot of these players that were signed were still kind of under the previous regime of what, players were kind of coming in. I know Qasim was a focus, but Qasim was a focus for a very long time. Johnny Perez came in on loan. It's going to be very interesting to see from that spot, and especially now because Nashville does have a little bit more flexibility, right? Especially with having that 500K in GAM, a little bit more flexibility to kind of move around that position. I'm very curious. I think that's going to be the biggest question mark of the offseason, is what is solidified in that position. Or is it going to be something that it is going to be a committee and it's just going to swap every single, we play a lot of games next season. So it might be something that it is a committee no matter what and just flops.
And let's not forget, there's going to be a lot of players in and out still from Nashville SC, and Nashville has already cleared out a good amount of GAM from not re-signing Walker Zimmerman and Gaston Brugman. So now you're looking at a lot more flexibility than they would have otherwise if they signed those 2 guys. And then the other thing is that we know there's a lot of contracts that ran out, and we knew that this year and last year, well, I guess 2025 and 2026 were going to be big transfer window sort of things for Nashville SC. So there's going to be a lot of movements. It's hard to guess everything right now, but I think it's safe to say that Nashville will sign at least 4 or 5 more first-team players before the start of the season. That doesn't mean everybody else stays, but I think what we're looking at is a team competing in multiple competitions, like you said, Steven. And I don't think they can do that without signing those players.
Speaking of those multiple competitions, we do have to talk about them because we haven't recorded since stuff has gotten announced. So we do need to make sure that those are kind of brought up. Leagues Cup. Yay. Can't wait to be back in the Leagues Cup again.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. I would like to not care about it, but I feel like the prize is so important. Like qualifying for CONCACAF Champions Cup through Leagues Cup and the money involved makes it a real like something that MLS teams can't not pay attention to if you make it to it, which now if you're certain team you make it and certain point you don't. Unfortunately, Nashville SC will not be defending their US Open Cup because they're going to be playing in this abomination of a competition.
I think that's the dumbest one of all time. I think if you win the Open Cup, you get the ability to try to win it again. I think that would be it. My personal opinion. They're never going to do that, but that'd be great.
No, it's insane. It makes no sense. It's yeah, I don't like it. But the way the Leagues Cup is worked, if you checked out from 2025's League Cup, I don't blame you, but it is a new format where you play each MLS team and each Liga MX team play the opposite league in 3 matches. However, this is crazy, man. This is insane that this is the way to do it. While you play the other league, you are in a table with your own league based on the results of you playing the other league. So, out of all the MLS teams involved and out of all the Liga MX teams involved, the top 4 from each side will make it to go and play the quarterfinal and so on and so forth. So, Nashville SC will be playing 3 Mexican teams, not all at home, I believe. And they will be ranked based on how other MLS teams do against other Liga MX teams, not the same ones that Nashville SC are playing. And then if Nashville SC finishes the top 4, they'll go into the quarterfinal. And if they don't, then they will not go into the quarterfinal. So 3 guaranteed games against Mexican teams is what we know so far. Everything else will be as the competition starts. So that's fun.
Cool. And I think they announced the timeline for it as well. Valair, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't pay attention to the Leagues Cup stuff as it came out.
It'll be after the World Cup, I believe. So it's very fun times.
Yay.
But
speaking of fun times,
but a real competition
that we do care about. Well, I did care about before the draw happened, and then the draw happened, and I kind of cared less, is the Champions Cup draw, where Nashville SC did have that draw on December 9th. We recorded our last episode on December 8th. So we did get that reaction of where we were going to play. We were all wrong about where we predicted Nashville was going to play because we all wanted it to be somewhere exotic, and it's probably in the most boring province not most boring province. The province is good. Just one of the most boring cities in Canada itself, where Nashville SC goes up to Ottawa in the first leg of the Champions Cup match.
Yeah, so the game is going to be actually taking place in Hamilton, at Hamilton Stadium in Hamilton, Ontario, on Tuesday, February 17th. So yes, that is about 2 months from now, and that's when the season starts. And then the home game will be at Geodis Park, of course, on Tuesday, February 24th, a week after that. Both games will kick off at 7 p.m. Central. This is a very important competition for Nashville SC, and this is very important competition for the league as a whole. The problem here is not that Nashville SC is playing Atletico Ottawa, because Atletico Ottawa are the champions of the Canadian Premier League, where they scored that beautiful, what the kids are calling icicle kick. If you haven't seen that video, please go and watch it. It's a very funny, very creative way to score in a game full of snow, where an Atletico Ottawa player does score a bicycle kick, thus dubbed the icicle kick. But here's the breaking news. If Nashville SC make it out of that, which they are likely to do that, they'll be playing guess who in the round of 16, Steven? Your friends and mine, Inter Miami Club de Football, will be
Can we get lucky? Like, can we please get some sort of luck? Like, I hate this Like, I started to love this competition, and now I hate it. Like, we go down to the Dominican and have a great time.
Yeah.
But we also watch Tyler Boyd break his leg, where we're not able to watch him play for like 2 years.
No, that's not true. He didn't do that there.
He injured himself there, didn't he?
Yeah, but his big injury didn't happen to like May. But Sam Surridge I think you're thinking of Sam Surridge and Hani Mukhtar because they both got injured that game that we went to Dominican Republic.
But like then, like we're sitting there watching this draw, right? Like which fine, the draw was so boring. But we're just waiting. We're looking at one side of the bracket where it's just like, no, please, of course, do not. We just don't even want to be on that side of the bracket. We have a 1 in 16 shot of being like in the worst spot possible. Just absolutely the worst spot possible for Nashville SC, unfortunately. Yes. I don't know.
I don't think
Miami's beatable. Like, they are beatable. It's just they're going to have a really good offseason, and it's going to be tough.
Yeah, I don't think Nashville fans, Nashville players, Nashville Soccer Club, or Miami fans, Miami players, Inter Miami want this. I legit don't think anybody wants this. Like, I think the only people who want this is CONCACAF, and it's not for any reason to have to do with Nashville, just because Messi's in the competition. That's the only people I know who want this. No one else wants this. You got to see some other teams. I hate when MLS teams play against each other anyway. The fact that it's Nashville, Miami again, pretty early in the season. Plus, you add the two MLS games. That means 4 guaranteed games against Miami. I'm not here for this, man. I'm not here for it.
I'm not here for it either, especially because I was really excited that the team that I predicted that we would play, Defense Force FC, did actually make it into they did win and made it into their competition, and I really want it's fine. We still have a ton to talk about, though, when it comes to Nashville SC news that we haven't covered yet. And we're going to do that next, right here on Pharmaceutical Soccer. And we are back right here on Pharmaceutical Soccer at PharmaSoccer on our Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm sure we're going to have a few fun little things to kind of cap the end of the year. So please make sure you do follow us on social media. Would love to have you there for the conversations. Always a good time. Also, make sure you do check out 615soccer.com. Spell it out in your browser. Become a part of what we are doing. If you want to be in the know for news like Jacob Shaffelbye-bye, if you want to know it before anybody else, you're going to know that by being a part of 615soccer.com. It was our own Ben Wright who first broke the news because he's in the know and he knows the stuff that's happening. So if you want to be, say you want to be like Ben Wright, be a part of 615 Soccer. Would love to have you there.
Yeah, I also want to say that you get a lot. So we have this Discord, right? And people get to talk. And you get to see Ben Wright and myself and Steven and all these other people say things that they wouldn't usually say on Twitter. I think. Well, Steven would say anything on Twitter, but Ben Wright and myself. So you get a little bit more information, maybe a little bit more insight by being part of that Discord, because we know you're a trustworthy person, and you're going to pay us that little money a month just to enjoy some company. And we have all sorts of conversations going there. Sometimes I just walk into that Discord and it's like that meme from Community, where Donald Glover's character walks in and it's just like fire everywhere, and he just like walks in with a pizza. Sometimes it feels like that. And sometimes they're talking about Formula One, and sometimes they're talking about real Nashville SC things, and sometimes we're just, happy to be there. So highly, highly encourage you to check out our Discord channel. But also just join 615 Soccer, even if you don't want to do Discord stuff. But I think the $3 or $7 a month are worth it for what you get. And if you disagree, you can do it a monthly thing and then cancel it the next month. But honestly, we haven't had many people cancel because they know the value of what we provide. So I'm very happy with it. Thank you for an incredible year. We appreciate it for sure. There were a lot of highlights, including starting 615 Soccer. So we're just very thankful for all of your support.
I will say, Valair, I've had some proud dad moments as well, as you have been, your World Cup stuff has been starting to come out for Kickback Committee as well.
Yeah.
I have had some fun times watching that and just listening to the podcast. So please make sure you do check that out as well.
Yeah, just go to my personal stuff. You'll see a lot of, mainly on Blue Sky and Instagram. You'll see some World Cup coverage as well. I'm helping out the folks at Kickback who do a great job with covering MLS and NWSL and everything under the sun. So I'm just doing a little bit with them as well.
All right. Still a ton of stuff to cover when it comes to Nashville Soccer Club. Just like kind of overall, like it's still so weird for me because we never had this much insight, these many rumors before ever in any sort of offseason under Gary Smith. So it's still so weird for me to have all of this kind of come through. Like, is it hard work for you, like, to kind of keep up with?
To be honest, I'm not in the business of making many. I've done like 1 or 1.5 stories in terms of breaking news. It's a lot of work, and I just don't have the bandwidth to do it, honestly. And I also I'm not as connected as, Tom Bogerts of the world. But Ben Wright has been on it since the offseason started, before the offseason started, to be honest. So I let Ben run with it because he's better than me at it. So he's really good.
The first one that we are going to talk about, though, you or Ben didn't even have to worry about because this one came from the UK before, which is the first rumor that we're going to talk about when it comes to Wolves wanting Sam Surridge to sign, which is a very interesting rumor, I think.
Yeah, Ben Jacobs is reporting that of Give Me Sport. I will say I'm a little surprised that it's Wolves. And I'm not, I don't think this is I don't think this story is out of nothing. I do have reasons to believe it's not as advanced as it sounds. I don't think, and to be fair, the wording there was very specific to interest. We'll have interest in signing Sam Surridge.
Yeah.
Just like I have interest in winning $1 million or interest in, I don't know, having a fun time with my friends. Anything. Yeah. I mean, so let's be clear on what's being put out here. Is that Wolves have interest. That doesn't mean it's concrete. Doesn't mean it's something that Nashville SC will have to deal with. I do believe personally, and this is not from any information at all, so don't quote me on this. I think this is more so for Sam Surridge to get a little bit of a raise rather than Sam Surridge wants out of Nashville. I think it makes little to no sense for him to go back to the championship, which is almost certainly where Wolves are going to be next season. The Premier League, you were looking at them having 2-3 points or whatever they have. They haven't won a game in the Premier League yet. They're dead last, and they're going to be relegated to the championship. I don't know if he wants to spend another season in the championship. I believe that's the reason he came to MLS to start with, is that he wasn't getting time in the Premier League, but he was a starter in the championship, and he didn't want to do it in the championship anymore. So, yeah, I wouldn't worry about it if I'm a Nashville SC fan. I do think this is more so to get maybe a little bit of a raise, which I think he deserves a raise. If you look at his output from last year, he's been a really consistent goal scorer. So yeah, I think he's gonna get a raise and will maybe get an extension as well and stay with Nashville SC long term. That's my prediction, at least.
Yeah, I especially with 1 year left on his contract and then an option, of course, after that. I think Sam's gonna have to want to go, which I don't know. I mean, technically no, but I have to assume Nashville SC would give him that ability if he does want to go, to be able to go, and to go to a last place Wolves team that is. I don't see any way of making it out of a relegation fight. I mean, maybe he wants to be a part of that, but I don't necessarily see that. 2, I believe that fee would probably have to be north of $10 million, which I don't see Wolves paying that for an unproven Premier League striker or championship striker. He has not had a season in the Premier League or championship where he's had a multi-goal season.
No. He was good in the championship. He helped
I don't think he had a double-digit goal season, though, in the
He helped
championship, did he?
Nottingham get to the Premier League, but he was only with them for like half a season, I think, or something along those lines. But your point stands. He's not someone who was able to cut it in the Premier League, and that's why he's in MLS. He has improved. He is a little bit older now. Is there potential for a Premier League team to go for him if they need a striker mid-season like they are currently? Yes. But why would it makes little sense to me for Sam Surridge to go to Wolves. You see what I mean? Like, there's no, yeah.
I do say, though, Valair, you're Mike Jacobs. Wolves comes to you with a $10 million offer for Sam Surridge. Do you take it?
I think if I'm Mike Jacobs, I might have to, because that's probably the highest his value will ever be. I think if I was, if I was John Ingram, I probably wouldn't take it, because I think John Ingram would care more about the fact that he's keeping his players in Nashville and that fans are excited about it. But I think from a business opportunity, like, that's a pretty good offer for a guy who, I think you can replace those goals with maybe somebody else or a committee or a Christian Benteke type of signing.
Well, speaking of somebody else, it does look like Nashville SC is linked to another striker. It looks almost done in a lot of instances, just waiting for kind of the official confirmation. Again, nothing is going to be official until actually confirmed by the club or 615 Soccer. But it does look like all the news sources in Costa Rica are saying that Warren Madrigal is going to be coming to Nashville SC. So, Valair, why don't you give us a little bit of information on this one?
I would assume that the way you pronounce it is wrong, but I don't know. I don't have I would say Madrigal. I'm going to go Madrigal. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I have no information on this, on his pronunciation. Kevin Jimenez out in Costa Rica is reporting this news. And speaking of 615 Soccer, Jeff, who runs the Nashville SC stats account, he's kind of said that Kevin is fairly reliable when it comes to Costa Rican news. So this is now, he is a young striker, Kevin Madrigal. However, he's had a good amount of experience. Like, he's not just a young striker coming in to sort of just fill in minutes or play for Huntsville. This seems like a serious move to get somebody who is proven, both with his club and national team, because he has 25 caps for the Costa Rican national team. That's not easy to do. He's played with his club a good amount. He has 6 goals, I believe, for the Costa Rican national team. Really good stuff, really impressive stuff for someone who's only 21 years of age. So, yeah, I think this is a serious signing by Nashville SC. If I had to guess for somebody of this caliber, you're probably using that last U22 spot. That means there's not going to be another DP for Nashville SC, because that's the 4th U22 spot. But we don't know yet. And if they are able to get him without the U22 spot, then maybe they'll keep that spot open for the summer, like we kind of assumed they would. So, yeah, he plays for Saprissa in the domestic league. He has 1 goal in 12 appearances this season, 6 goals again with the national teams. He's been with Saprissa since he was a kid. So, Saprissa is another team that kind of produces top talents within the region. So, we'll see where that goes, but the current report seems like he's going to be a Nashville SC player.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting because this could be one of those players that is a find, a nice little find in the rough for Mike Jacobs. I think it's going to be a very low risk, high reward type of situation. Where you do need some kind of backup striker goal help coming through. And instead of having somebody like Teal Bunbury, you have a player that is younger, that has a little bit more ability to learn under Sam Surridge. Or, even, learn under a Teal Bunbury when it comes to kind of having that, kind of style of play. So we'll see where it goes. It's looking like it's going to go through. It looks like he had a decent amount of good appearances too for a La Liga 2 team, the Valencia 2, in Spain. So that's kind of cool to see. But I do think scoring 6 goals for the Costa Rican national team is a big accomplishment. Especially in CONCACAF. So excited to see where that goes.
And if you think about it, it's two. Currently, Nashville SC has Sam Sturridge and Hani Mukhtar covering those 2 spots. There's going to be at least 2 more players who can play there. If he's one of them, then you're creating a really good competition for those 2 spots, and maybe a younger player for the 4th one.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, next. Another thing that did happen, both Joe Willis and Brian Acosta are coming back. I definitely think the Joe Willis one, I'm definitely surprised about when it comes to him being brought back to Nashville. That is not what I was expecting. Brian Acosta, a little bit different. I think they were just kind of working out his deal. Brian Acosta has a certain spot on this squad, and he plays it well. What is Joe Willis' spot going to be in this club, Valair?
Yeah, I think a lot of folks will probably expect this to go. Maybe Joe Willis is coming back and just playing his role as a starter. I'm not too convinced about that. I think the fact that they didn't just take the option, negotiate a new contract, which I'm assuming would be significantly lower than the current contract. I mean, I don't know. I struggle to see a place where Joe Willis is the sort of backup for Schwalke. But at the same time, at one point, you have to make that switch and you have to make that change. And maybe it's a little bit of like ripping off the Band-Aid now and just going for it. I do feel a little bad for Schwalke if he's taking over as the number 1, because having Joe Willis, an actual club legend, be your backup is a good amount of pressure to put on a keeper. However, based on talking to him and sort of seeing how he interacts with players and how he is at practice, how he is on the game in the game days, he's definitely up for that pressure and up for that role. Nothing is guaranteed. If Schwalke starts the first game and does something or is injured or something like that, then Nashville SC are kind of back where they were with Joe Willis, and maybe that's why they like having Joe Willis there. Again, he's a club legend. I don't think anything he does this season is going to change that. However, I do think putting that pressure on Schwalke is it could turn out to be good, but it's also dangerous because it's a double-edged sword, and it could potentially create some headaches that you don't want to deal with.
I think I love different parallels that come from like USL times and older Nashville SC times to like now. Like, it is fun to kind of come see, because like the whole Joe Willis situation reminds me of Matt Pickens. Like, Matt Pickens last year in USL wasn't necessarily like, he didn't necessarily get signed to start that year. It was supposed to be Connor Sparrow that was kind of starting most of those matches. But when Connor Sparrow had a couple off matches, Matt Pickens was kind of there as a player coach type of situation, and then obviously joined as a goalkeeping coach kind of, after that was done. I do think you're going to see a little bit of that. I do think the pressure on Schwalke is really good to have instead of being bad, because I think that's going to give Brian the ability, like, to have the ability to perform that, like, hey, you have an experienced guy behind you, like, you're signed to this position to be a starter. Let's see how you do. Plus, I think Joe Willis has that experience to be able to help him. Obviously there'll be, questions about how much he's getting paid, how much of a price cut did Joe Willis take for that kind of position. How much does that free up for Nashville SC? It'll be very interesting to see. But it doesn't matter to me personally. Like, I'm happy Joe is back. I'm glad he gets more time in Nashville. I'm just curious to see where it goes. Anything on Brian Acosta that you want to talk about?
No, he played a small role, and I think he'll continue to play a small role. I don't see him starting any more playoffs games if Nashville SC has any of those, though. I think that showed to be, how do we say this? Not the best decision. There you go.
There you go. Yeah. There you go, buddy.
That's enough.
That's good. Paul Rothrock stays in Seattle. He's not coming to Nashville SC like we thought. Well, it was really funny because it was rumored he was going somewhere else.
San Jose.
That wasn't Nashville. Going to San Jose, then Seattle. That's the stupid thing about offseason and rumors, is because a lot of these agents are just having conversations with other teams to get like a it's like a I want you to want me type of situation, and it's very annoying. Where like I have a feeling that's what the Paul Rothrock situation was.
Yeah, and I think because he was like a full-on free agent, he had the right to talk to any team in the world. And if I'm a player or agent, I definitely want to do that and see who offers me the best deal. Because of MLS's rules, these teams cannot offer more or equivalent to what Seattle can offer. So it's a dumb rule. I hate it too much. I hate it a lot. So even if Paul Rothrock, I mean, he could have accepted to go to Nashville or San Jose or whatever, but it would be 10% less than whatever Seattle can offer him. Again, very dumb rule. So I think him staying in Seattle makes sense. I don't think it's just a money thing. I think it makes sense for him to be there. But yeah, I think that interest in Paul Rothrock shows you that Nashville might be looking to sign another player in those wide midfielder spots.
Do you kind of just want to run down the other ones really quick that we do have? I don't think there's any conversation surrounding them.
Yeah, I'll run through it really quickly. Adam Sipic is on trial with a third-tier team in Germany. He is the first homegrown to come out of the Nashville SC Academy. I think this is more so the club. All these are just my opinions. I don't have any information on any of these. I think that the club probably just doing the best they can do with him. And if that's what he wants to do, to go in Europe and try there, then I think they've allowed him to do that. Moises Feliz is returning to Huntsville for another loan. He was on loan with Huntsville, played a very significant amount of minutes with Huntsville in 2025, and seems like he'll be playing a good amount of minutes in 2022. He's a good development product. He's young and could be an Nashville SC player in the future. There's another Panamanian, Kevin Walder, coming in to join Huntsville City, at least reported at the moment. He's not confirmed yet. So that's another young Panamanian player coming into Huntsville. It seems like that Huntsville area, it's holding a specific spot where Nashville SC are trying out international signings as well to go and see how they fare in American leagues, and then try to bring them into the first team if they perform well. And the last thing is Nashville made 2 selections in the MLS Super Draft. So that's a draft from obviously college teams. The first pick they did was University of Kentucky defender Max Miller, and the second that was in the second round. They traded away their first round pick. So then their third round pick was Southern Methodist University midfielder Charles Emile Brunette. So those are the 2 picks. They might get some minutes with Huntsville. We might never hear about them again. These things are very fickle. They might become the greatest striker for Nashville SC history. Who knows?
And remember that Nashville SC did trade their first round pick this year for the defender from Orlando. Yes. Very similar, younger defender. He might be great. He might not be good at all. You never know.
Yeah. So a lot of these are not obviously like other leagues in America where the draft is a bigger deal, but at the same time, you want Nashville SC to be somewhat involved in scouting these players, because the worst that can happen is you get up maybe a player like Wyatt Meyer, who came out of these drafts and was able to provide a crucial goal for the Open Cup, and was able to get Nashville through to the semifinal in Orlando in a tough match. So it's really important to have these sort of players around, because you never know when you're going to need them. And even though we probably not, Nashville SC is not going to have Wyatt Meyer on their book again ever, but that in itself was worth the draft pick and keeping him on payroll through Huntsville and Nashville.
And I mean, we're still in the midst of free agency as well, where teams do have the ability to talk to players. There's still a few that are out there. I do think it is worth mentioning as well that Walker Zimmerman does look like he has signed with a new club going to Toronto FC. Sucks that he's staying in the division, unfortunately, but does look like Walker Zimmerman did find a new club. But I do think Toronto will be a really good spot for him. Good team, could be better type of situation, and I think Walker does make that team a lot better.
Yeah. I think it's going to be one of those where Toronto is in the middle of a huge rebuild, and he's going to be the part of that spine that will see them there. Do you want to go through some of the bigger signings around the league real quick?
We can. Do you have them pulled up, ready to go?
I don't, but I have them off the top of my head. Ty Baribo, who was competing for the Golden Boot, is signing with DC United from Philadelphia Union for, I believe, $4 million cash for. That's a big one. And then Sean Nealis as well for DC United. So those two big players.
And a third one. You forgot the third one also going to DC.
Who's the third one going to DC?
Oh my gosh, you don't know? It's your favorite player of all time.
Giassi Zardes?
No, sorry, not Giassi Zardes. That's sorry, your favorite goalkeeper of all time.
Oh yeah, Sean Johnson, right?
Yeah, Sean Johnson also going to DC United.
Going to DC. So big moves there for DC, who desperately need it. Charlotte FC is set to sign Luca De La Torre. A lot of this is coming from Tom Bogert, by the way. So shout out Tom Bogert for all of that. De La Torre played with San Diego the past season, and he's technically with Celta Vigo, but he was on loan to San Diego, and now Charlotte's going to take that. There's a lot of bigger moves going around all around the league. Cincinnati is gonna let go of Luca Resciano, who was like a great player in 2024 and just kind of lost all his powers. What is that? I don't know, reference to that movie with the basketball and the cartoon characters and Michael Jordan. What is it called?
Space Jam?
Space Jam. Thank you. I've never seen it, to be honest with you, so I have no idea.
You've never seen Space Jam?
No, he just kind of lost his powers, Oriciano, and now he's going to Monterrey.
Also, I need everybody to know this is also a man that's never seen. He's a movie fanatic and he loves movies. He's also never seen Ocean's 11.
Yeah, I just feel like some things were like of the time, and I missed that time, and like seeing them now just doesn't interest me. That, you know what I mean? Like if that's you didn't watch, what is it called? Magic Johnson, not Magic. Oh my god! All right, never mind. We're cutting it here. This is enough. There's a lot of big moves happening.
Making references to movies though that you've never seen that you know about, but you just kind of know.
Dude, I knew like the Star Wars stuff like 10 years before watching Star Wars. Like I had, you know what I mean? Like all this stuff is so big. LA Galaxy are making big moves, by the way. Justin Hack is going there, who was a really, really good center back for New York, who New York somehow fumbled the ball and didn't sign him. They also signed Jakob Glesnes, so 2 new center backs for the Galaxy, which is really, really good stuff there for them because if you saw how many goals they conceded,
just the last thing, I do think there's one that's really funny. Can we talk about the Carlos Coronel situation, which is hilarious?
Yeah, he just kind of waived Orlando, right? He just like...
so he agreed in principle to being in Orlando, gave them verbal agreement that he would be going to Orlando, and then when they were calling apparently to sign his contract, him and his agent ghosted because he signed to Sao Paulo in Brazil. So...
yeah, you know...
I love this league.
The last one, and this happened a little bit ago, so you've probably already heard about this, is... Dane Sinclair is the new Inter Miami goalkeeper. If you know Dane Sinclair or you've seen how he plays or acts, this makes so much sense for him to be in Inter Miami.
It makes so much sense.
It's honestly one of the best signings out there. So
I hate it, but it makes so much sense.
It just makes sense. And the same thing, Drake Callender, who used to be the Miami goalkeeper, who's currently with Charlotte, is going to Minnesota to replace Dane Sinclair. So,
and I think that's a really good one as well. Yeah. Honestly, I think it's a very good one. Lo Celso looking like he's going to, man, this free agency has been a lot more wild than I even realized.
Yeah. And I think preseason starts in 2 weeks, and then the window doesn't close till more than a month from now. So, We're expecting a lot more moves to happen. There's going to be a lot, and Nashville SC is going to be in the middle of it, I'm sure.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening to this show for an entire year. Folks, this is our last episode of 2025. We cannot thank you enough for just being a part of our journey and what we do. this year has been crazy for us. We hit our 300th episode this year. We took our first trip ever as a full collective to be able to go and cover the Open Cup final and win the Open Cup and go through all of that. I know Valair and Ben had no idea probably what would happen when we started 615 Soccer, that it would be what it is today. And it's been fantastic. So seriously, thank you guys for such an awesome 2025. We can't wait to continue kicking it for 2026. I have a few games planned for Valair and Clay over the off season, so I cannot wait to go through those with them. I'm sure we'll be breaking news as well whenever we get the ability to. But seriously, thank you for listening, reading, conversations. Thank you for a great 2025. We could not have done it without you.
Yes, thank you guys so much. We're excited for what's to come.
Have a good rest of your year. We'll talk to you in 2026.